Selling your online business is both an exciting and stressful experience. So on the one hand, you could have a 5, 6 or even 7-figure exit, or you could end up getting scammed and losing everything. I make all of my money online through my online media company, and the business that I sold with Empire Flippers took 2.5 years to build and represented the end of a 7-year journey. So I know the exact emotions that you're going through and what this sale can potentially mean for you. So in this video, I'm going to share my experience of selling my online business successfully with Empire Flippers for $315,000, so you know exactly what to expect when selling it through this broker platform. So I'm going to reveal everything, and this includes a moment where I basically didn't sleep for 2 weeks because there was something about this process that was so stressful. I genuinely thought the deal was completely going to fall through and I was going to end up with nothing. I'll also reveal why I decided to go with Empire Flippers rather than their main competitor, which is FE International, and also I'll discuss and summarize whether this entire process is worth it when you factor in the fees that Empire Flippers apply to the sale. The link to Empire Flippers' free valuation tool, which we will be using in the walkthrough process, is linked below in the top comment and description, so you can get a quick estimate of how much your online business is worth. So what exactly is Empire Flippers? Empire Flippers is an online marketplace that connects buyers and sellers of online businesses. So using the link below, you can actually look at the marketplace. All you need to do is sign up for a free account, and you can then start to see the types of businesses that are currently being sold. And as a seller, it gives you an idea of what your listing will look like once it's approved and available on the marketplace. For example, this listing has a monthly multiple of 60x with a final listing price of over $14 million. And if you click the listing, you can see more crucial details. But if you want to access the most sensitive info, you need to submit proof of funds, which is great for sellers because it filters out tire kickers. So what types of businesses can you sell with Empire Flippers? So the one that I sold was a content-driven website. So this is where I was creating articles, putting them on a website, and then capturing traffic from Google, monetizing with affiliate links, and also display ads. Now, if you click the link, you can actually see specifically which types of businesses you can sell. So they've got everything here, including the most popular ones such as Amazon FBA, YouTube channels, websites, and a bunch more. Before we jump into the pros and cons, let's discuss the essentials. So in order to qualify to get your online business listed with Empire Flippers, you need to have an online business that is making money. So you can't have a starter business or a starter website. Now, more specifically, you do need to be making at least $2,000 per month on average over the last 12 months. So if it falls below that, Empire Flippers won't take your business to be listed. Also, you need at least 3 months worth of Google Analytics. Now, I did have a gap in mine over the entire period where I switched from Google Analytics 3 to 4. So there was a gap and it dropped off, but I was able to explain this and that was completely fine. Also, for affiliate sites or AdSense sites, you do need to have been on the same domain for the last 12 months. If you have a service or client-based business, 50% of your profits needs to have come from multiple clients and not just one. Also, there are limits on the types of businesses that we'll take. So adult stuff is generally not allowed, things like CBD, and also anything that's potentially illegal or shady, so hacking websites and things like that. So also no funny business, so you can't manipulate the fact that you have been hit by a penalty. If you've got a content website, you can't have fake traffic or any associated fake social media accounts. So now, time frame, how long does this process take? Well, from start to finish, so attempting to get my business listed from the evaluation point up to getting the money in my bank account for me only took around 3 months. Now, this could be a bit less or a bit longer depending on the type of business that you are selling. On average, it takes around 3 weeks to get listed. It took me 3 weeks to find a buyer. So the third person that wanted to buy my business was the one who actually did it. The first two, they did interviews with me and then decided to not go through with it. And then the third person never did an interview with me. He just put an offer in and we started negotiating. And the rest of the time was taken up with the migration process, which I'll cover later on. And that's where you actually hand over the business to the buyer. And then there is something called the inspection period in that time, which I'll discuss in more detail soon. And that was incredibly stressful for me. So it might be easier for you. I'll explain the details in just a moment. And then actually getting the funds only took a few days. So when the sale is finalized, the buyer sends the funds to Empire Flippers. They hold that money in escrow. And once everything's agreed, you get the money and he gets the business. So let's talk about fees. How much is it going to cost you to sell your online business with Empire Flippers? So first of all, there is no listing fee. You only pay commission once the business sells. Now, they use a stacked or tiered commission structure. So what this means is if your business sells for under $700,000, you are charged 15% as a standard flat commission, regardless of the amount. Now, if you sell for more than $700,000 but below $5 million, then that bracket is charged at 8%. So just to clarify, the first $700,000 would be taxed at 15%, and then anything above the 700,000 mark but below 5 million is taxed at 8%. Now, if you are lucky to sell for above 5 million, the first two brackets still apply, but then the commission goes down to 2.5%. So is this worth it? Well, I can say as a first-time seller, yes, it was, because the process did in the end involve a lot of technical details, switching over the accounts, and also it stopped me getting scammed. In your case, that will depend really on the pros and cons that I'm now going to discuss to give you a better idea if this is the right opportunity for you. Okay, so pros, what are the benefits of selling with Empire Flippers? So the first one is you do tend to get high monthly multiples. So it's typically between 20 and 60x on the average monthly over the last 12 months. So personally for me, my online business was listed at a 45x on the monthly, which came to just over $400,000. Now, the amount you settle for and sell for will typically be lower because you do have to do a bit of negotiating. And I think in the end, when I did finally settle on the price, which was $315,000, it was more in the 30s range. So it will dip more than likely, but typically you do get very good multiples. Also, a massive benefit is that you get instant access to a qualified buyer pool. So as soon as you are listed on the marketplace, then you will get your listing sent out via email to people who are verified buyers and who, in many cases, have bought before. So you're not going to have to waste time with people on Facebook marketplaces or other forums where people just aren't really interested. They're just kicking the tires, and sometimes they will try to actually pretend they want to buy and then just use it to steal your business idea. But this can't really happen with Empire Flippers because they'll only let people see the most sensitive details once they have proof of funds. And as I just said, you don't actually pay a listing fee, you only pay commission once you have sold. And the other main thing, which is why I decided not to go with FE International, which is their competitor, is because FE International wanted to deduct the previous month's expenses for content created. So my argument was that I've paid for that content, it's sat on the website, it's generating traffic, it's making sales. So it's much like building a house. You pay for the bricks, but they're still part of the house. So even once the expense is finished with, they still have value. So FE International didn't agree with that. They wanted to deduct those expenses, but Empire Flippers actually agreed with me and they put it as an add back, and this resulted in the listing price being much higher. I only had one person question this, and everybody else, it didn't seem to be an issue at all. So that's why I went with Empire Flippers rather than FE International. So considerations. So these aren't necessarily bad points, it's just things you need to be aware of. So the first thing is that if you have similar properties, other websites, other YouTube channels, other businesses, they may want you to bundle them in. So I did have another website that I was starting because I knew I needed a business to fall back on once a sale had gone through, and I needed to offset the lag period. So I'd started a website in a very similar niche, but it wasn't quite the same. Now, I spoke to them and they did say it is slightly different, although related, so I didn't end up bundling it in. But in your case, I would absolutely get clarification on this, because also when you do sell, there is a 3-year non-compete. So again, you need this clarifying with them specific to your situation, but it really pertains to not creating content or another business that directly competes with the person who has bought your business. And the final thing is the uncertainty and the stress that I personally experienced during the inspection period. And that's something I'm going to cover now as I run you through the exact step-by-step process of selling a business online with Empire Flippers. So let's start the selling process right now for your online business with the following 6 steps. So the first thing you need to do is go to the link in the top comment or the description, click that, and this will give you an estimate of how much your business is currently worth. So this is just an estimate, and if you decide to go ahead and sell it, you need to go through step 2, which is a formal vetting process. This is where they verify that everything you are claiming is true. So how much you are earning, the traffic sources, and really if it's a business that they can list and then go ahead and sell. If they do decide to take it on, then it will be listed on the marketplace and then subsequently pushed out to the buyer pool. So you will get a final listing price. As I said, mine was just over $400,000, and this will be based on your multiple. So there's quite a lot that goes into deciding the multiple. I'm not going to go into right here because it is quite an in-depth process that they handle behind the scenes, but mine was a 45x on the monthly for the listing price, and then when I settled, it was lower. Once it's listed, you will start to get what are called unlocks. So this is where verified buyers with proof of funds want to know more about your business. So when you go to the marketplace and you see the section that's blurred out, this is what they will be able to see because they do have the money. So from there, they will either retract the unlocks if they decide they don't want to go ahead with the business, or they will then go ahead and either make an offer, or they may book a call or ask questions. So the first two people that were interested in my website, actually, I went on a call with them, and Empire Flippers do sit in on this process to sort of mediate and explain everything and make sure everything's done correctly. But these two people were from media companies, and they've really grilled me with the questions. They're asking me things I really had to think on my feet. Now, they didn't actually go ahead. They retracted the offer and said either they had found something else to buy or they just weren't interested. However, don't let this put you off, because the person who did buy my website didn't ask for an interview, didn't even ask any questions. He just put an offer in. I countered, and then we did settle at $315,000. So just because you get a few no's at the beginning doesn't mean it's going to be unsuccessful. Keep trying, and Empire Flippers will keep pushing out your listing to more buyers as they see fit. Once a sale is agreed, then the buyer has to send the funds to Empire Flippers. This will be kept in escrow, and this really stops you from getting scammed. So this is fantastic as a seller. Now, you could do this process yourself with an escrow, but I have done this before, and it's not as simple as what you think. I would much rather do this with Empire Flippers and have them oversee the entire process and ensure that the person who's going to buy this website is verified and does have the money. Step 5 is the migration process. So this is where the business is handed over in stages to the buyer before Empire Flippers then releases the money to you. So I was really grateful that Empire Flippers had a technical team where they handled some of the problems that we encountered. So this will be specific to your type of business. So for me, with it being a content business, I had to swap out affiliate links, change over the display ads networks, and also deal with things like Google AdSense. So I did encounter problems I wouldn't have been able to fix on my own. So this is where Empire Flippers really came into their own and made sure everything ran as smoothly as possible. So for you, this will be specific. You might have Stripe accounts and other things, but they will make sure it's specific to your type of business. Now, also, this is when the 14-day inspection period starts. So personally, I think this is quite late on in the game, because this is where potentially everything could fall through. And I did think that was what was going to happen for my business. So the inspection period is where they check for gross misrepresentations of the business. So this means that the business must make at least 50% of the revenue that is expected for that time period. So with mine being a content business where we were getting all the traffic from organic Google listings, as luck would have it, there was actually a core update going on. So what this means is the website rankings were going up and down. Google was switching around who appears at the top. And I thought that it was going to drop below 50% because of just natural volatility that happens when there is an update. So this was incredibly stressful for the 2 weeks. I genuinely thought the whole thing was going to drop and it wouldn't go ahead. But somehow I did actually manage to make it all the way through. The earnings remained stable and it did pass the inspection period and the sale did go ahead. Just to clarify, if the inspection period is passed, whereby the online business makes more than 50% of the expected revenue, then the buyer cannot pull out, so the sale will go ahead. Now, if it goes below 50%, then the buyer can pull out, so the sale wouldn't go ahead, or they can renegotiate a new price for the sale. So it is there to protect both the buyer and the seller, as stressful as it is. So I do understand why they do it. So once the inspection period is passed and the sale is finalized, then it's time to get paid. So this is where you can celebrate and relax, because once this has gone through, Empire Flippers have an accounting team that handle all of the money. So in my case, I asked them to send a test payment to my bank account because I wasn't really comfortable with such a massive lump of money being sent all at once. So I got them to send a very, very small test payment. Once that was verified, with my bank, I said, go ahead and send the rest of the funds. Now, after that, the tax is then up to you, but this is basically the end of the process. So in summary, is Empire Flippers worth it as a seller? I would say yes, most certainly if you are a first-time seller. But to be honest, if I was about to sell again, then I would probably let Empire Flippers handle it, because even though they do charge quite a higher relative amount of commission at 15% for the lower tier, it is kind of offset by the fact they can get you a higher multiple and they do have that pool of buyers. So you're not messing around and potentially getting scammed. So if you do want to go ahead with this process, click the link below and you can start getting your first free valuation and then take the process from there.